Any questions about any of those 10? Okay. Anybody think maybe they got all 10 right? Woohoo! Great. The worksheet that you do won't give you all the answers, but it'll help. Okay? Reading will help. Notes that you take will help, and you can use all those. They're not designed to be trivia, but they're designed to be jumping off points for us to talk about different things, and that's where we'll go from here.
DollarShaveClub.com. Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler can use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis.
Do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Papa! Stop paying for shit that you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship it right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
I'm working.
What are you doing now?
I'm working.
No Vanderbilt. This train makes hay. Stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
How many of you have heard of Dollar Shave Club? Okay, because they've marketed this pretty well. Have you seen that commercial before? That was the first one. They have some different ones, and they're okay, but they're not as good as this one. Okay, so in the text they talk about this shaver blade strategy for getting someone to adopt an innovation. Stephen, how does that shaver blade thing work? Okay, so you buy the handle, or they could give you the handle. In this case, it's $1. I think they charge a little bit more. Have you noticed, or do you notice when it happened, when you'd go to buy razors at Walmart and they were in this locked cabinet as if it was a $50 video game, okay, or jewelry, and you'd say, when did they get to be $12 a blade? And so Harry's and Dollar Club have capitalized on that Gillette doesn't need to make all the money. We can do this separate one. But why can't you go, Stephen, why can't you go and just buy cheap blades and put in your handle?
They don't fit.
They don't fit. Why don't they fit?
Because they have like a patent on their
I don't know if they have a patent, but they're designed only, the blade is designed only to fit this one. Penny doesn't use disposable. She just uses razors and she just throws them out at the end no matter what. Every time she buys all these new ones, which I don't understand. Question?
No comment.
Comment?
I was just going to say why they do it.
Yeah, why do they do that? So Dollar Club, if you buy theirs, or Harry's, or Gillette, or Schick, if you buy the cartridges that fit in the handle, they only work on that handle. Why do they do that? You have to buy their blades. Okay, so that's the strategy. We could give you the handle, or the handle would cost almost nothing, because you have to buy then their blades. Okay, so the question is there anything else like that? You thought of something?
video games, like you have to have certain games only go on PlayStation, but certain games can go on Xbox.
Xbox, PlayStation, PS2, they're unique to that platform.
Apple products.
I'm sorry?
Apple products.
Talk? Your iPhone?
Yeah, you can't use Samsung's product to go with like the Apple product.
Tell me what won't work with this that works with a Samsung?
The charger.
The charger is an example. So we can charge you a bunch for the charger. Okay. Anything else?
Headphones.
I'm sorry?
Headphones.
Headphones.
That one doesn't have a.
This requires a different headphone jack?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
And Apple tried to patent that where other companies couldn't make the little connection thing, so only they could produce them.
So is that the case now, or can you buy
No,
different
they-
ones?
They didn't get it approved, like someone took them to court.
But there's not just one headphone jack that you can use.
Yeah, other companies can.
Most of them, as far as if you're going to the airport or whatever, it's just a regular one, but there are different ones for these newer phones. Anything else like that? How so?
The shapes, like, yours is different. So it's like some of them's narrower or wider or longer.
Okay. Not everything's like that, though, right? What about gasoline? It's just gas, right? What if gas was like that?
There'd be a lot more gas stations.
There would have to be a lot more or a lot fewer different makes of vehicles if only one kind of gas. Now, I wonder, as we go more to electric vehicles, that may completely change, and so you're going to have to replace your battery every couple years. I think someone told me that Tesla, that the batteries are very expensive. You're going to have to replace them after so many years, and you can't just. It's not going to be a Duracell one that you buy at Walmart. You're going to have to buy that from Tesla or whoever, and so that may be a complete shift. I don't know, in your lifetime. We could argue whether that's going to happen or not, but whether in your lifetime we're going to shift to a completely electric vehicle or not. And if we turn the tide to where then there won't be anybody available to work on gas or diesel-powered vehicles, then it'll just be kind of a novelty, like a Commodore 64. It's like, how do you work that? Okay, so that's the shaver blade promotional strategy would say we would give you this if you have to buy the other. And so if you think about it, again, if it's from a fuel, we would give you the car if you had to buy Ford gas or Chevy gas. Okay? So some things work that way, some things are designed to work that way, and some things don't work that way. Okay, hybrid corn. So we talked about hybrid corn is the example that's used over and over again with the diffusion of innovations. How is it that hybrid corn, how is it that we use the metaphor of a snowball as farmers adopted hybrid corn?
It took them a while to change and get used to it. Like farmers in Iowa, when we first started doing it, they would take one seed and plant it instead of doing the whole row. They were testing it. It was just
Maybe one part of a field instead of all 80 acres, instead of all 160 or 240 or 3,000 now. Okay? And so we started, that was better, yields increased, we did more, and we did more. Okay?
Some of the more educated farmers were more experienced or something started, and then their neighbors, and so it kind of snowballed into all the farmers doing it. But it started with a core few.
Yes.
And then the word spread like that.
And that's what's so important is we're going to talk about in this class how opinion leaders, those people whose opinion was valued, when you saw what they did, then you were willing to try it, and that's why it went from a snowball, and then it gathered so much steam that everybody was doing it. But it didn't start out that everybody was doing it. Okay. In terms of hybrid corn, I don't want to assume that. What the heck? Where'd that go? I don't want you to assume. I don't want to assume that you understand everything about hybrid corn, but hybrid corn was very difficult for farmers to wrap their heads around because it required them to buy seed. Before hybrid corn, they saved their seed. Okay? Lots of wheat farmers continue to save their own seed and plant their own seed. To get farmers to buy wheat seeds more expensive, why would I do that? Why might I not just keep it myself? Lots of soybean farmers used to save their own seed. That's pretty well changed now with innovations. But hybrid corn was completely different. You had to buy seed because you couldn't save it. If you know about hybridization, you know when we have this F1 cross that it doesn't breed true. Okay? So you remember that from biology class. But in hybrid corn, got this, I think, pretty cool animation. The male flower is the tassel. Okay? In the Midwest, kids as young as 14 earn summer income by detasseling corn. Okay? Cindy Crawford was discovered that way when she was working for DeKalb Hybrids. She was detasseling corn and figured out she could make more money as a swimsuit model than she could detasseling corn. Okay? So the male is the tassel. The female is the ear with silks on the ear. The pollen comes from the tassel. We just have to wait for it, right? We have to wait. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. See the pollen being shed? Isn't that cool? Anyway. And then to create a hybrid, you have in this row this line, and in this row you have this line. You take the tassel off, so you take the male pollen away from that one, and then the male pollen from this one pollinates over there. So again, you call it detasseling. Some kids would ride on elevated tractors like highboy sprayers with seats. If you were too short, if you were tall enough, you could go along and you could pull the tassels yourself. But farmers then had to buy this seed from the seed corn companies, and that was a huge transition. So instead of saving my own seed, you had to buy seed from somebody. Oh, should I turn this off? Come on. Go to an antique sale or go to not a pawn shop, but an antique mall, and you will see some things like this that are made out of wire, and they're called corn dryers. Anybody ever heard anything like this? Boy, am I old. And so what you would do is at the end of the year, you'd select some really nice ears of corn, and you would put this ear of corn on this metal stem, okay, and dried it, put it somewhere for the winter, keep it away from the rats and mice, and that was your corn for the next year. So we had to convince farmers, instead of farming like this, where you're in control, you're going to buy corn seed from somebody else, and you're not in control of it. They're going to deliver it to you, hopefully. A big leap of faith, and so that's why, they didn't jump in head first, even though the yields were so much more than open pollinated corn. They were very, very cautious about doing it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to backdoor this.
Sometimes families run a little cold. Sometimes a little hot. And when you get together around a Papa Murphy's pizza, you create, save, and bake in your oven. 425 degrees is just about perfect. Take back dinner time with $10 Tuesdays. Any pizza, any size for just $10. Like our hearty cowboy pizza, every Tuesday, just $10. Papa Murphy's, love at 425 degrees.
Anyone ever heard of Papa Murphy's Pizza? Yes. Have you eaten it?
Yeah.
And?
I love it.
Really? Anybody else? And?
We get it every Tuesday night.
Not anymore. It's closed. It was right next. Yeah, I went to get it last night. I was going to get 50% off. I was going to get two, put one in the freezer, and it's closed.
Like it shut down?
Well, yeah, it's closed. It's like it's not there anymore. Is that a different kind of closed? Now, not as a franchise, but the one in Stillwater. Okay. Okay. It's an innovation. Okay, who raise your hand if you said, I've never heard of this before? Okay, so it's different. You've never heard of this either?
Not until I moved out here.
Oh, okay. And so, Susie, tell Susie how it's different, Raina.
Like, it's almost, I compare it to kind of like Subway, but you get a raw, like, pizza crust, and you can tell them, like, okay, I want that recipe, but you can say, like, I want this, I want that.
Excellent example. It's like Subway for pizza. And
put it in the box, and you take it home, and you can cook it whenever. So, like, on, I think it's like Tuesday nights, you get a student discount, plus you like the coupon, it's like 55, I'll get 50% off.
Yeah.
And it's way cheaper than ordering pizza, and it's a lot.
And it's pretty good pizza, and you get to decide whatever it is. So the innovation, remember, an innovation is something that's new to Susie. And so an innovation is something new, and the idea was you get to take it home. Who doesn't have an oven? Everybody's got an oven. If I'm in a residence hall, there's still probably an oven there I can use, right? And so anybody, you don't have to have anything special, and I get to customize it, and it's made fresh, and those are the innovative things about it. Okay? Any other comments about it, other than the location of Stillwater is closed? Okay, there's a method to this madness. We're going to come back to it. Okay. Why wasn't the Dvorak keyboard ever adopted? Why are we still using a QWERTY? Raina?
So, I had to work in a hospital where they had the Dvorak keyboard.
Really?
Because we had an old charge nurse who took out all the keyboards and she bought them and she was making them use it.
Anyone else ever seen one or used one? Oh, it's so great to have you in class.
It's awful. It's the worst experience of my entire
Oh,
life.
that's in a nutshell why it hasn't been adopted.
And it's just because we're so used to like what we've always done. But she was telling us this story that when it was first like kind of introduced to the public, it was like 1936, which World War II is kicking off. So at the time, U.S. Department had bought all these typewriters for all the control systems at the time. She said one of the main reasons that a lot of people think is because it would have taken so much money to replace all these new typewriters they had just bought with the old keyboard that the idea was just immediately shut down and no one ever pushed after that fact to get it readapted.
The typewriter is connected, so it's not until we had computers, the keyboard was connected completely to the typewriter. Okay, so that explains why, but it doesn't explain why in 2019 we're still using this keyboard, which is designed to slow you down.
I mean, we were already used to it. Like it was already there, and like changing it, like kind of like what she was saying, it didn't really like make sense, and it took longer to master the other keyboard, and there was no like opinion leaders, I guess, that were just like right up front and said we should use this.
So there's been no force.
Well, people selling keyboards, like, it's not really noticeable. So the people that are selling them don't want to try and sell this one because they don't think that people will buy it and they want to keep making money.
But you all know that it would make people faster. They'd be faster typers, right? And it's not a secret. It's like no one doesn't know it. Let's jump ahead and say, okay, let's say now that you know this, you've decided to champion the cause, and you are going to convince everyone to change. Okay, let's go that way, and we can come back to why it didn't. Where are you going to start? How are you going to do it?
Gotta get people on board, that people know, famous people.
You're going to get famous people because they type a lot.
No,
Oh,
they're influential.
Because they're influential, because you want to be like celebrities. I want to do what Beyonce does, how she types. When she types, when she checks her balance on her account. Levi, ideas? I thought maybe you had something. Okay. Anybody else? Hey, I think I got an idea. This is where I'd start.
Train people how to use it. So you have like almost like a tester group. You teach them how to use it proficiently, and then they become your champion.
Okay. Who are they? We're going to give you money too. We're going to give you millions and millions of
I
dollars.
would take people in different careers. So like I'm thinking places where you need medical typers. So probably in the medical field, college classes, secretaries, just different professions. And they champion the cause in the profession, doing this much faster now.
Sounds like a good idea. How come nobody's doing that?
Because it's hard to train people.
Susie?
I would go to like people who code and have to do it like really, really fast. I'd be like, hey, give me a week. I'll like train you in a week to do, cause like in the book it said 1 week of training for somebody who knows that they can type faster and break all the records of like fast typing.
I could a little bit agree with that.
But you were very frustrated. You hated it.
Well, imagine walking into a door and going to a keyboard that you've seen your whole life, and you're like, what in the world? And she was like, just figure it out. Just practice it at home. She gave us a piece of paper of it. It was like, practice at home.
She was a champion.
Yeah. But she didn't want to train us.
Oh, well, we're gonna. Okay.
So then we decided, we were like, okay, well, we'll just really, make her mad. So we'll do all of our charts in paper. So we just started writing our charts. So she had to go through all of our papers.
You fought the innovation.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah.
I know personally, I want to see that one's faster than the other. So if like someone's like said to be the fastest typer in the world on a regular keyboard,
that's good.
And if I can get someone that I know is like, okay, you can beat their record, and then like I show everybody, hey, look, here's the fastest typist in the world. This person can type faster than you can.
And you think maybe you would adopt this innovation?
I mean, I think if I see that it's faster, and I'm like, okay, that's so much.
You think you would change and now use a different keyboard?
I think I would at least try it and be like, okay, I'm going to give it a try and see, and like if it's been proven right there, then I don't see why I wouldn't try.
Okay. Yes.
A lot of people, I don't think, really need to type it faster.
I'd make as many mistakes as I do now. You'd be more accurate. You'd say I don't need to. But somebody whose job, the thing is, we're in a different situation than we had before. When I came to OSU in 1989, Dr. Finley was next to me. He brought the Spirit Rider to OSU. But he said we had 3 secretaries and all they did was type, and that's all they did all day long. And I thought, what a waste. Because I don't need to, everything was handwritten and handed to them. They would type it, they'd give it back, he'd mark it up and give it back, and they did this. And I said, it's crazy. Now everyone types their own. So that may be, I don't really feel like I need to type any faster than I do, except if that's what I did for a living. Question?
I think you should take it to Apple or someone where all of their products would be with that keyboard.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have another option. Because like right now it says that it's incredibly hard to find in the market. So if you were going to look for it, you probably could find it.
Apple has the possibility, though, if Apple says, okay, this is the only kind of keyboard, there will be people that will say, I'm not going to buy that because I would have to use a new one, and their sales might. And they say, I can't take that risk because we already own the world. We don't want to own just half the world. Anybody else? I got an idea of how to do it.
You would almost start because like with the social part of it, like the age generation, like now as you're older, we're so accustomed to it, so it'd almost be having to start with this younger generations because like you typically learn how to type and use a computer and typing in like 5th grade, so it'd be getting into those younger and teaching them, so it's the only version you learn and you've never had that experience with another.
Okay, how would you get a school when they taught keyboarding, and I don't know when we're doing when I became first aware of keyboarding, the issue was when to do it, and it was because kids' fingers, if you did it too early, it was frustrating because kids' fingers weren't long enough to be able to hit the rows. And so let's just say 5th grade, and most of their fingers are long enough to do it. Okay, and so what are you going to do with the 5th grade?
I mean, that would just be introducing this keyboard because in the book it said it was the most efficient because all of the letters you use typically are all on one row, so you wouldn't have that need to move because typically if you're like TH is over here and like E on the board, so it's like if most of your words there, so if you need to type E or the, you never have to move your hand, so it kind of eliminates that factor.
Okay, Jenna, your son comes home and he said, I'm sorry, I can't use that keyboard that you have. I have to use this keyboard. They're making me. Do you go to the school and raise hell? Or do you say, okay, well, that's the way it is. We're all going to have to change over in this house? You'd raise hell. I know you would. Why are you doing this? Why are you having this experiment with my child? It's kind of like the metric system. I was in 5th grade when we were going to do the metric system. Everything was centimeters, meters, millimeters. And then said, we're not doing that. We're America. So I spent a summer in France between my junior and senior years and spent a lot of time with a bunch of French students. And one said, hey, I will do my impersonation of an American. Well, I said, great, what is it? He said, I'm an American. I said, okay, where is it? He said, no, that was it. Anyway, so there is some, we're going to force, we're going to make it illegal to have this other one, or we're only going to make it. Now, because this keyboard is detachable, you could just have this new keyboard and plug it in and flip a switch and you could go, right? Okay, so let's acknowledge that would work. Okay, so Lydia, and FSA isn't going to do this. But let's say it was available to you. How could we get people to at least try it? Some people said, I'd try it because I just need a different keyboard. FSA said, I'm interested. We might do what? Buy 100,000 of them and let you try it out and see. And then maybe you would prove to yourself, and just like Papa Murphy's Pizza, just because it sounds really good does not mean it's going to work. And you have all your ideas, but don't waste too much more brain power on it, because here's this great thing that would change, although maybe we don't want to be faster now, and we can't get it adopted. So the idea being good isn't enough. Okay? Just because we think it's a good doesn't mean it's going to be adopted. Thoughts? Completely baffled? Why did it take so long for the scurvy cure to be adopted? Like 250 years and people died all the time. If saving people's lives isn't enough, you haven't been watching reruns of House. Every episode. Still fun to watch. Why did it take so long for us to adopt the cure for scurvy for sailors when we knew this worked?
I know one of the guys just wasn't like an accredited doctor, and like he wasn't famous enough, and so people didn't believe him because he did like really small scale work.
Okay. So he was an outsider. He wasn't a sailor. I don't know if he was a doctor, but he didn't have a reputation.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, supplies and resources are really limited, and like how much it took to find scary meals, like for the.
Okay.
We don't have all the resources. How are we going to cure everybody? You can't cure one person and not the other.
Okay. Not everybody read. It may not have been in the right journal. Communication was not. We didn't just put it up on Wikipedia. Even if we did, we don't know that would do it. He was an outsider. Okay. Lots of change that happens comes about from the outside. Okay? Okay. Within agriculture, okay, kind of bear with me and whether you agree with it or not, because you're on the inside. Okay? The use of antibiotics, routine antibiotics in animals. Is the change that's coming about, is that from inside agriculture, or is that from outside saying, hey, we think we got a better idea? It's outside. Okay? Organic farming. Did lots of producers say, hey, you know what, I think we should stop using chemicals to kill pests and we should try and do it harder? No, that came from outside and came from the consumers. All the food labeling didn't come from inside agriculture, came from outside. All those changes all came from the outside. And it's why it's harder to get adopted. If those changes came from the inside, more likely. But these changes wouldn't happen because people want to keep the status quo. We like it how it is. Okay, so that's the lesson to be learned from that British sailor story, is that who comes up with the idea is as important as what the idea is itself. And if you're an outsider, you got to somehow find a way to get on the inside. Okay. Well, the other one example would be animal welfare, and that is how much space animals should have, or whether you give animals anesthesia before you do surgery on them. Does anyone like a banana?
Yes, please.
Oh. Susie, a banana? If you take a banana, don't peel it yet. Are you sure? Will you react? Or will you like?
I'll let you roast
All right. Agle? I thought so. Yeah.
Those are some nice ones.
Just this morning. Wouldn't make you sick?
No,
You just don't want to do it? Tell me your name.
I'm Fallon.
Fallon. Were you here Tuesday?
Yes.
Did I look right at you? Did I say Fallon? And I think I said to Penny, I said, I don't think Fallon was in my class. Yeah, sure. Tell me your name.
Julia.
Julia.
Thank you.
Okay, you don't have to take. Don't feel obligated, but just don't peel it. And you don't have to peel it today, anyway. Others? Oh, I can't believe that. Well, you'd be a lot better if you had a banana. Still can't? Who else would like a banana? Lydia? Nice catch. Anybody else? Okay, you can go ahead and eat your banana if you'd like. You don't have to eat it, but if you would like it, if you're like, man, I'm hungry, eat your banana. Stephen, why are you opening your banana wrong? Well, what do you mean? How do you open a banana? You know how, Catherine, you know how to peel a banana. Stephen, why don't you know how to peel a banana? Who would you look to if you wanted to know how to peel a banana? Monkeys. This is how a monkey peels a banana. Okay? For those of you that went like this, you mash the end. Sometimes it breaks, sometimes it doesn't. And so isn't this a better way? I'm going to go ask them. Get a handle.
Did you want one?
I have one. Nope. So, be careful. Thank you. Thank you for being quiet. Thank you so much. Try the veal. Be here till Thursday. Why have you been doing it wrong? Okay. Now that you know, Stephen, I didn't focus on anybody else. Will you peel it the other way? You may. You may not. Be careful if you Google how to eat a banana because there's lots of sexually inappropriate things. I'm serious because I've tried to show a video before and it's like, it's not good. Okay? And so this idea of an innovation is something that's new to you. So, Catherine, you said you had heard of this before. Do you remember where?
I saw it on a Facebook video.
Okay.
But I don't actually open my banana like that normally.
You've seen the video, but you haven't been convinced?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just because, like...
You still do it wrong?
Yeah.
Or you do it the other way?
Well, like, that's how my parents did it. Is they open it that way. So then I grew up opening it that way. And then I realized that monkeys open it the other way, but I just still did what
You're having a hard time making that change. What at least in diffusion theory is, it depends on who told you that. Okay, who suggested that, Stephen? So I don't know if we all have influence over you, or some people they'll just think they're like, oh, I remember now, and they'll remember this event. But the idea that we're trying to when we're talking about diffusion, it's new to you. Okay, my little sister has an antique shop, but before she had the antique shop, she had a resale shop, and she called it New to You, and I always called her Nude to You. And I said, what kind of shop is this? And the joke got kind of old after a while. But anyway, it's new to you. Okay, so an innovation doesn't have to be new. It's just you haven't heard of it yet. Okay, and that's important as we talk about innovations. These are things maybe that other people know and you just don't know. If we ask, what's the best way, what's the most flavorful way to cook a steak? All the research says medium rare. Okay, and people still order medium or well done. Anthony Bourdain, who just passed away, has a famous book, Kitchen Confidential, and in that book he talks about working in a restaurant and what happens when a steak falls on the floor. And he says there's 3 things that you can do when a steak falls on the floor. You can throw it away, and we lost money. You can cook it and feed it to the staff, and you didn't make any money on it either. You wasted it. Or you can mark it as saved for well done. And somebody that orders it well done, they don't care what it tastes like anyway, and so they'll just eat it. And true story or not, but it's in the book. But we know that, all the research says for that, but then how do we convince people that that's what they should order? And if that's the case, why do they even ask how you want your steak? Why doesn't everyone get their steak medium rare? Okay. So like the Dvorak keyboard, this is kind of a challenge, how we get some things. We may not be able to get 100% adoption. We have farmers, I'm sure, that are still planting open pollinated corn. Okay? They're not making a living. They may just be subsistence. They may be 90 years old and they don't have a mortgage payment, but there may be some farmers that are still planting open pollinated corn. Okay? Okay. Is anyone familiar with Cody Creelman, cow vet? Yes? You've seen his videos. I'm sorry?
He has them on Facebook.
He has them on Facebook. Okay. Anyone else familiar with him? He's a veterinarian from Alberta, Canada. Okay. And so he's got a website. He does some professional speaking. He's a young guy, but I subscribe to his channel, and mostly I think he contracts, his vet practice contracts for large feedlots, and usually his videos are him going into, they call the dead yard or the pit or something, and him cutting up carcasses and bringing out pieces of lung or heart and telling you exactly why it died. Which, if you were a high school sophomore and said, I think I want to be a vet, this would convince you probably don't want to do that. Or it would say, oh, is that what you get to do as a vet? And I just share that because I think it's really cool, and I think he's very interesting, and he's really smart. He's also, anybody ever watch Dr. Pol Vet? Okay, he decided instead of having his own TV series, he's just going to do video blogging, and I think move his professional life out that way and speaking. And anyway, my guess is in the next 10 years we'll hear a lot more about Cody. Okay. Broad overview of the book in this chapter. It's important to know that diffusion is how we get stuff out to people. That innovation is something that's new to you. That a change agent is somebody whose job it is to get you to change. Okay? Now, does somebody come to mind right away when you say, I think their job is to get me to either adopt a new technology, change your behavior, or buy something and use it? Does anybody come to mind right away? Well, I'm sorry.
It is more interesting.
Brian?
The Kardashians.
What are they trying to get you to do?
Buy makeup, I guess.
You sound like you're not sure.
No, they like buy makeup and fashion. They like
Get them to buy their product?
not just their product, but like other people's products. I watched this documentary the other day. I watched this documentary the other day, and Kendall Jenner makes like $250,000 every Instagram post she makes whenever she promotes.
Because she has companies that sponsor her.
Companies that sponsor her, and then also like Instagram.
Okay. From a commercial standpoint, so she makes more money probably the more things people adopt. Is it possible there are some people, they're trying to get you to change your behavior, adopt a product or do something, and they don't get paid more if you don't adopt? An extension agent is a really good example, whether they're a youth or agriculture or family consumer science. They're not going to be paid any more whether you adopt cell grazing or you decide to use herbicides or you have your canner checked and it doesn't blow up on you and kill your grandma. Okay? They don't get paid any more or any less. Okay? Anybody else? Their job is to get you to change some behavior. That's it? Only extension?
Like seed companies, kind of now, like we're way with like roundups pushing extend now because like.
Do they make more money if you adopt?
Probably yeah.
Okay, not quite the same. They're a company. They're marketing. That's what they do. Now they've figured out some of the same principles we'll talk about. The commercial industry is all adopted, and they figure out how it works too. But a change agent is usually somebody whose job it is to get you to change, but there's no incentive really for them to they don't have a financial gain in it. Which is a seed corn company. If I get you to adopt, I'm gonna make more money. Okay, so anybody beside an extension educator?
What about professors or educators?
How so?
Well, you know, say a freshman in college comes in here, thinks they know everything, and then the professor kind of sparks their interest about something and gets them to think outside the box of what they normally would. You're not going to make any more money because my brain's working harder. You're just
okay. They might want to get you to read. What do you think about that? How you feeling about reading?
I like to read.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's what I want. My job is done. Okay, I want that bonus. Yeah, I don't get paid anymore if students learn or don't learn. The idea I might want to create a change in behavior is I want you to be a better thinker, a more critical thinker, that you don't rush to judgment, that some faculty want you to have a more liberal mindset than you do. Some want to propose a more conservative mindset. Okay, so certainly teachers do. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
What about parents?
How so?
So if my kid, I'm like trying to discipline them, I don't get paid for doing that. I mean, it is a reward because then they like have some respect and they don't have to act in public.
The parents' greatest fear is when the kids are like in high school is they're not going to move out. So my parents never said that, but I mean, when my brother Tom was 29, he decided to get his own place. I'm sure my mom and dad were a little relieved that he was finally getting out of there.
Did he pay rent while he lived at home?
Pay rent?
Did he?
Hell no. All he did was fill up his Trans Am and with the farm gas. Anyway, let me started. Don't get me to continue talking more bad about my brother Tom. So parents, I want to create some change. My son Nate, I want him to quit smoking. His grandfather died of emphysema the day he was born, and he still was smoking. In the Marines, you just smoke. He said he was in Afghanistan, he's driving, and he said, his commanding officer said, "Hey, Weeks, you're not supposed to be smoking in the truck." And he's like, "Yeah, I know. But I'm a Marine, and that's what we do. We do dumb stuff. What are you going to do, bust me or something because of that?" And so only recently, I think he had a girl he was trying to spend more time with, and she's like, "I don't want to be around you, you stink." And he gained 20 pounds, but anyway. So that kind of change. I want you to eat better. So a parent might say, "I want you to eat better, lose weight, quit smoking, quit chewing tobacco," any of those kind of things. Now let's say with that health, is there anybody who's trying to get people to be more healthy and that's their job, but they don't get paid anymore if you quit smoking? Or doctors? Okay, you go to the doctor and they say, "You need to lose a little weight." Okay, doctor says, "If I lose 20 pounds, it'll keep me out of diapers when I'm 80. So that's a pretty good motivation, but he doesn't make any more money whether I'm in diapers at 80 or I'm not in diapers at 80. Social workers. I work for the American Cancer Society. I work for the Lung Association. A school. I might want you to. I might talk about how we discipline children. Okay, whether discipline children and you think the harder you hit them, the more they learn. Is that what I heard the other day from you? And so we might, you just save your comments because I don't want you to influence all these other people. But we might. So what's the best way to discipline them? You know, you shake your finger at them because we know how that works. And anyway, so as a school, parents, whatever, might try and influence each other relative to discipline. So extension is a great example, but lots of other people, they are change agents. Their job is to get people to adopt change. I'm almost out of time. We have a worksheet scheduled for next Tuesday. So usually it'll be Tuesday, but see, chapters 1, 2, and 3, we're trying to get these out of the way. Chapter 2 is Tuesday. Chapter 3 will be Thursday. They're all posted. Tuesday, we'll have a quick quiz right away. You're going to have a worksheet. You can use your worksheet. We're going to do that again Thursday, and then we're going to get back into a schedule where it's just Tuesday. We have a quiz and a worksheet. Okay? Thanks for coming. Thanks for entertaining me with the bananas, and I'll see you on Tuesday of next week. Have a great holiday.